I realized that I arrived in this party in this place with that energy, and I thought it stayed in Amsterdam, but I took it with me actually. And this friend of mine, Niels, he saw that in that moment, and he saw that I needed someone to talk to maybe. And he just put himself there, and I told him all these things. And that's all that was actually needed. He did not have to give me any advice or any tips or anything. He just needed to give me his ear.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of
Hearts Wide Open.
Hearts Wide Open, the podcast that we talk about men's mental health and everything that men want to talk about. I think this is the podcast that we are trying to create a
support system for you.
Yes, and a safe space for you to express yourself and for men to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
And on that note, this is the episode that we actually want to talk about.
Support systems?
Yes.
Dude, this is so interesting. Like.
See, I just want to know, after all this episode, Dennis can finish my words or not.
Yeah, that's the exercise. Yeah, and I just realized this might be much funnier for people who are watching this online.
Yeah. If you haven't checked the videos, you can always find our videos on the YouTube.
Yeah, just look for Hearts Wide Open.
Yes. Podcast. Hearts Wide Open podcast.
Yeah, or check out our website, because you can find all the links to the YouTube videos there as well.
Okie-doke, sir.
Yeah.
So, on the topic of safe space and support systems, I want to start the discussion with this question on what do you think, what is a support system in your opinion, definition?
Well, as the name already gives away a little bit, it's a system to support. And
thank you for the detailed definition.
You can realize, I think it's pretty obvious that we're recording at a later time today because...
no, but we still keep the quality high.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're sharp, yeah?
Yeah.
But I feel like we're more funny. I don't know.
We are definitely funny.
I feel
right
more
now.
funny,
Okay.
even if I'm not funny.
But
what is a support system?
yeah, how do you define? So because it's something general, right?
Yeah.
Support system. It can be in even computer, software, hardware. But for you, what is the definition of support system, or in specific, more specific, what kind of support system do you want to talk about?
I think so. Support system, is a supportive system, but it's also you can be more specific. And like if we talk about support systems for humans, for me, Dennis, I think there are different support systems that I have for sure. But the ones I'm talking about now, or the ones that we're going to talk about on this episode, are support systems that give you emotional or practical support.
Okay, so
either
groups that give you, groups or individuals
people,
that give you emotional, or what did you say?
Practical.
Emotional, what do you mean practical?
So, for example, hey, Soroosh, I don't know how to fix that lamp in my house.
Okay.
Do you know?
Okay, got it.
So I don't have to call an
like
electrician
physical.
And pay money for it. You know, it's easier.
Okay.
Like practical, or I have to... This is both emotional and practical. I have a difficult conversation with someone coming up at work or personal, and I just want to talk about it with you, and then you can give me practical tips on how to approach this conversation. Or you can also give me emotional support if I'm like feeling very anxious about it, for example.
Okay.
So that's two different examples of support system.
That you can ask help from a group or individuals, physical or emotional, when you need it.
Yeah,
let's say this is
and always depends a bit on what's at hand right now. Like, what are we dealing with? Physical support, I'm not sure what you meant with that.
Well, I would, if practical, I would call it physical.
okay, because it can also be over the phone. And physical, I would think if I need a hug.
Okay.
You know?
Oh,
That's why I was confused.
don't call me.
Oh, wait a second.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so those are the type of support systems I'd say we're talking about today.
Okay. So now our scope is clear.
I think there's a lot of people out there who are actually really struggling with support systems or finding their ideal support system in a situation they're in. And I have been that person as well in the past. And
yeah, maybe you can tell us when was this situation that you felt this lack of support system, and then we can elaborate more there.
Yeah. I can actually not give you an exact situation right now.
Okay.
But I can give you an exact situation when I really felt a support system. That in the, like most recently, actually, like last weekend, when I was like, holy shit, I have a really nice support system here.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like let me just go from the start. So I'm a bit anxious sometimes, and I think I'm not alone with this. And I think we're actually all experiencing this type of anxiety in some way, but especially when I'm in around more people, or if I'm in bigger groups in a conversation, I'm not always super comfortable, and I'm like not super confident in the things I have to say, if it's interesting for everyone. I don't know if I'm in the right place. Sometimes I'm insecure. Sometimes my way of talking doesn't fit the group maybe, or I'm just not sure if I fit in, you know? And in these situations, I think it's nice to have a person to hold on to. And such a person I would call my support system. So let's say you and I were going to an event together, and I don't know anyone there, and I'm a bit anxious, I don't know. But then like when I feel like it's all too much, or I just need someone to talk to one-on-one, or a shoulder to cry on, I know that you're there, you know? So I can come to you.
It is your safe space, or like something
Kinda.
that you can fall back onto. Then I'm thinking about why is this? Why do we need this fallback?
Yeah, we don't always need it.
Do you think so?
It's good to just have it there. I mean, I have support systems, and I know they're there.
Yeah.
But I'm not always using them.
Not that. Yeah. That I know. But do you think it's a need? It's a basic human need.
Yeah, I think for sure it's a basic human need. I mean, I think it starts from your being a baby. If you have a baby and that baby doesn't get support, it dies.
Yeah.
And that's emotional and practical support.
That's the thing. I think it calls from human evolution. That if you were individual, just look at nature, like wolf packs, or we probably have also individual animals, but I think throughout nature, we have been evolved toward beings that we always look for danger. We always look for, how can I save myself from this and that to survive? Yeah. So the goal is survival.
Yeah, I mean, it comes from this very simple idea of a community, let's say. I mean, we're most close to the animal monkey, let's say, yeah?
Not me.
I mean, and there's studies that show that monkeys live in groups up to, I think, around 150 people, or monkeys or so, 150 or so in population, because then it becomes too large and they cannot recognize each other and which group they're part of. So then they split up, they become two groups, and so on. And we as humans also have the same capacity to remember faces, names, personal history, etc. So I think humans too have around, let's say, 100, 150 spots, so to say, to be in their support system. So imagine if we would not have any technology or whatsoever, and no skyscrapers, no cities, we would all live in communities of up to 150 people, and we would know all these people, and we would know where to go when our belly aches. We would know who's like the commander of the food group, the people that go hunting for everybody, and so on. So then those 150 people are all in one way or another part of one of your support systems potentially.
Okay. And to go back more into the detail of, you said on the weekend you felt like, oh shit, I really have the support system here in the Netherlands. And if you don't know, Dennis is originally born and raised mostly in Germany.
Yeah.
So you moved to this country, and
Yeah.
you also lived for a while in Iran.
So I built this up from scratch. Let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that moment?
Yeah.
What brought you to the moment that you thought, oh shit,
Yeah.
maybe you can describe it to us.
Yeah, so I was at a birthday weekend at one of my best friends, Niels, actually, in the south of the Netherlands. And I did know almost all the people that were there, actually. And I was also not really nervous going there. It's really like I knew that this was a super safe space already and a nice group to hang out with. But yeah, I just went, and at some point I was sitting there and I was part of the conversation in the beginning, but then I kind of zoned out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I zone out, it's very obvious. And you can see in my face that I'm getting more passive, maybe more neutral, less involved for sure, less active. And normally I just sit with that in such a situation until it passes, and I feel like, oh yeah, this is a topic I want to connect again with the group. I want to jump into the conversation, or maybe I go and take one other person to and just have a one-on-one conversation on the side, because I really prefer one-on-one interactions.
It's very interesting. I had this experience last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah.
But go on.
So yeah, I really love to interact with, for me, a party can be a success if I go and I had one really good conversation with one person. And sometimes I feel like there's this pressure that's actually just in my head to talk to more people, to be more present, to
be involved.
Yeah, be more involved indeed. But I know it's not necessary, and I know that pressure is just in my head. But anyway, so I was sitting in in this garden and slightly zoning out, a bit in my head. And then my friend came to me and he sat next to me and he took me to the side and he's like, "Hey, Dennis, everything all right with you?" I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's just like social anxiety, I think. I just need a moment and I'm back. And then he asked me again, "Are you sure you're fine?" Because I think he saw something else as well. Because he knows me for a long time as well. Yeah. And then I was thinking and I'm like, yeah, you're actually right. Before I came here, I was not having the best week. I wasn't feeling super productive. I was not very happy with myself.
I remember you all also texting me about it.
Yeah, I was telling you as well. And I realized that I arrived in this party, in this place, with that energy. And I thought it stayed in Amsterdam, but I took it with me, actually. And this friend of mine, Niels, he saw that in that moment, and he saw that I needed someone to talk to, maybe. And he just put himself there, and I told him all these things. And that's all that was actually needed. He did not have to give me any advice or any tips or anything. He just needed to give me his ear. I emptied all my stuff on that. And then from that moment onwards, I was feeling so free, and I was feeling like all my worries are gone, which I, in the beginning, didn't even realize they were somewhere in the back of my head dragging me down. But I had a really good weekend there, and I was able to socialize with everyone, have fun. Yeah. It was so nice. And then he is in my closest circle of support system as well. Yeah. And then in that moment, I realized, oh my God, this guy, you're also in that circle, by the way. There's a few people in there, and I think those are also people who can read me sometimes without words. Yeah. And who can be a good support system even when I'm not asking for a support system. They can sometimes just see,
now that you said this, I remember also one of our conversation that I also sometimes call you talking. Yeah. Or I remember I was on holiday in Spain, and you texted me that if you can talk, and it was, I think, the time that you broke up. I was in the middle of nowhere. In castle with some pigs and gooses. And as you know, when I'm on holiday, I really want to be there. I don't text that much, or try to really be absent online. But when somebody texts me like this, I always pick up, because I know if I'm in need, you are there to help me. And it just feels very good that you feel heard. I don't know. I'm just putting myself into your place, that I told you I had this moment last night that
Mhm.
we went out with some of my coworkers, and I was in the middle of the table, and there was a conversation on the left side of the table, there was a conversation on the right side of the table, and there were moments that, well, of course I was involved in the conversation, but there was also moments that I felt like I'm in the middle of two conversations, but at the same time I'm not in any of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you start asking yourself, why am I in this phase? And then you get a little bit anxious, and there, for example, I took a break from the group.
Mm-hmm.
I usually try to ground myself, or then talk to an Iranian colleague of mine, which is closer in language, or talk with another colleague of mine, which we have things similarly to talk about, more deeper conversation, rather than, because I feel like when you're in a group, the conversations are not that deep.
No.
If you think about it, people do not go in deep conversation if you're sitting with 10 people.
Yeah.
Often, usually.
You know what? Also, I try in conversations to like really listen until the end before I talk. So like while you're talking, I'm not already preparing what I'm going to say next, because then I'm preparing what I'm going to say next, not listening to you anymore.
That is true.
And this is what I find so difficult in bigger groups, because I'm listening, finished, then I'm like, okay. But then before I can even say something, someone else is saying something completely different, takes the conversation other direction, and I'm like, okay, wait, rewire, go back.
I totally get it. Yeah. And it feels good. I think about this often, and this topic of support system really also hits me close to my heart, because I remember when I got into a relationship early when I came to this country, and I almost didn't know anyone. And when we were together with my ex, and I didn't really put the effort to make friends, and then it was Corona and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we broke up, I remember I almost had nobody, literally, from somebody who you're living with 24/7 to nobody in this country. Well, of course I had some friends, which I'm forever grateful for. Maybe they don't know it, but I will name them, even though we are not close now, with Merdad and Ninke. You know Ninke? They were really supportive when I really needed someone. Or another friend of mine, which is, we are not friends anymore as well.
Well, sometimes you just step away from each other for a bit, and then like doesn't mean that you're not friends.
But
you know?
These people, I never forget them, and I really always, like, if I see them, I feel like I will always connect with them, because I'm just close with them. But over that, from the period of time that I felt the lack of support system is very crucial. It's like literally feel like you're falling behind and there's nothing behind your back. You just boom, falling on the ground. Which goes back to the topic of why we do need these support systems.
Yeah, but honestly, I want to clarify this, but because this feeling, like of having nothing behind you, or the floor being pulled away from you, I think this feeling, you can have it even if you have a support system.
That is true.
And you should, because it's an emotion, and all emotions exist. But then the support system can help you with that emotion.
Now that you said that, makes more sense. Yeah.
So it's like, when I ended my last relationship, I also felt like the floor is taken, like I'm lost, I'm free falling.
Yeah.
It was a horrible feeling, but once that feeling was there, and then I started talking to my support systems, and little by little I befriended the situation, go through all the stages except.
Anyway, on that segue, so question is, now that I'm curious, okay, before we move to the next segue, I wanted to say something.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we do need support systems. You said you can still feel not supported even when you have them, which was for me interesting. Well, if they are a support group or individual, you feel safe with them. and you feel protected. It's like a safe space that you have with them, that you don't feel much judged or open to share.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was thinking of can I be my support system? And in the past, I wasn't really. Like, I wasn't my safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I really still judge
what
myself.
What do you mean by that? Like judging yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like sometimes you just judge yourself. You're like, oh, why couldn't I do this? I'm this and that and that and that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like some people, even if you don't have a group, that they have so much trust and support within themselves, they can still support themselves. Do you know what I mean? Even if you don't have a group, I think you can to some extent be self-supporting. I am now much more a self-supporting self-supporting person than I was maybe 3-4 years ago, because I believe that if a problem comes, I can go through with it. But back then, I was questioning, what am I gonna do?
Are we talking about practical or emotional things now?
Both, I think.
Yeah,
I think. No, you don't agree? I think practical. Well, you can watch a YouTube video instead of calling your friend. You can try to calm yourself down when you're anxious.
The YouTube video becomes their support system as well, no?
Yeah,
practical support system.
Yeah, true. But you're not in need of another human. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about how to make support systems, right?
Yeah.
This is also a topic I want to discuss about.
Yeah.
And then maybe for some people, it's hard to find these kind of people.
Yeah. I think I think the thing is, it takes time.
It does take time
to build a support system. You don't go out and take a person and it's like, you, for all my emotional needs. Like that.
Some people do.
Like, well, so I think it requires for sure time to build such a support system. But I think maybe what you're hinting at is self-regulating. So, for example, I feel anxious, and when I feel like this, I know that this X activity, for example, going for a run, meditating, or doing yoga movement, whatever, helps me with this emotion.
Yeah,
so I'm self-regulating now.
I wouldn't call it regulating. You're supporting yourself.
Yeah, okay, but self-regulation can support yourself as well. I mean,
for me, regulation is do not have more drinks. This is your cap. Do not.
Yeah, but I'm talking about self-regulating emotions, not your
what is self-regulating emotions?
So when you're sad, you cry, and the crying is regulating your emotional system, because after the crying, you don't feel like crying anymore. You don't, and you feel less sad.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like letting it go or letting it flow.
Or screaming can also be a way of self-regulating.
Okay.
Like, I feel angry, I go scream outside or into a pillow or wherever, you know?
Not in this
time. I have utmost respect for people who just go outside and scream. Like, I know people call them crazy, but I think some of them know more.
Might be true.
Yeah, so I think...
But
and some things you cannot be your own support system. Imagine
some things you can't.
Someone extremely dear to you passes away. Like, no one will expect you to be able to handle that, you know?
No.
And so, yeah, I think for those kind of moments, it's also good.
No, I completely agree. You cannot do everything on your own. This is something, and that's why I said support system is necessary. But I think to some, I said also to some extent, you can be self-supporting if you want to, of course. Yeah. I am that kind of person because I don't want to rely too much on people. This is just how I am. But from a few friends that I have, that they're very close, like you, one of them, if I need something, or sometimes I'm in a state of mind, like the train that when my flight was cancelled, that I just need somebody to just like not shove, no, to shine. That's the word I wanted to use. Shine a little bit of light of, hey, just so you can just go that way. Yeah. It's fine. You're gonna be fine. And then I will just go.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. But coming back to the question, how do you think? I think, let's talk about this. When somebody moves to a new country, they almost don't have anyone.
Yeah.
How do you go at building these support systems?
Okay, so I will give some practical support and some practical tips now. So firstly, I have to disagree with your question. Sorry.
You disagree with my question?
Yeah, because I think moving to a different country doesn't mean that you're starting from zero with your support system. Because I think at least I have my support system in like the gist of it. I have in an Excel sheet, which is very sexy, of course.
What? You have
I have an Excel sheet with my support system in it.
This is the end of this episode. I will go and help Dennis.
No.
I'm kidding.
No, but I actually got this tip from another podcast, actually, that I listened to a while ago. And from a book. So I wrote down my entire support system in a spreadsheet. And if I would now move to a new country where I don't know anyone, then I would not delete the entire spreadsheet and say, okay, cool, all these people out of my life, completely new people, all of them living around me. Like in my current list of support system people, there's people living in Belgium, in Germany, in Iran. Like it's even now it's spread out, and thanks to technology, I'm able to call with these people, have video calls. And some of them are close by. Yes, for sure. Like I cannot ask for a hug from my friend who's in Belgium. Like I would have to travel at least 3 hours to get there. But then I have you here closer by that I can travel to within 5 minutes.
Now I see it. But for me, it also depends on your personality. Because I lose connection with distance.
Okay.
And also coming from Iran to here, I didn't have people in Europe. I think only knew you, or I didn't really knew you. We met like once or twice. Or like 2 more other people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I personally never wanted to bother people. Yeah. This is how I felt for me.
This is you talking to yourself, huh? It doesn't mean you're actually bothering anyone.
I know. Yeah. Back then, this is what I'm telling you. Yeah. Back then, I was like, oh, but if I call this person, well, why the fuck would they care? Or maybe they actually care because we were close.
Or they don't, but after you were already close.
The ones in Iran, we were close.
You're talking about those. Sorry, I mixed up something.
But there were ones that after that time that I broke up and I didn't have a support system, I talked to so many people, man. Yeah. And at some point, I was like, okay, even if you don't care, I'm just gonna say my story.
So you went from having one person be your entire support system to everyone you meet being your support, or potentially your support system.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's also
it is, right?
Quite a tough switch.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can also go anything in between, I would say.
I'm not sure.
But it's a good thing then that you broke up, because I think if you would have stayed in that relationship and you make that person your world for such a long time, if you break up later, then I don't know. Like, I mean, our whole friendship happened after that.
Yeah. So I remember I texted you after that.
This is already a practical tip. Maybe don't put your entire support system into one person.
Don't put all your eggs in a basket.
Because when that person leaves for whatever reason, if that person leaves, you're losing your entire support system. And it also really depends what kind of person you are. But for me, this really helped to put everything down in an Excel sheet, and I'll explain how this sheet works. So I wanted to actually know who my support system is, and I wanted to define my friendships and relationships better, because I felt like I kept saying yes to everyone and everything. Hey, do you want to meet up? Yes, let's go. Like I was just saying yes to too many people.
But this is what I mean. That all of a sudden you go from one person. Did you know closely all those people?
What?
Did you closely knew all those people?
No, not all of them, but like we had some good relationships, etc. But like just being sometimes with this person, sometimes with that person, then I feel like I don't see these people enough. I want to see that person more, but I'm spending time with people who maybe it wasn't really needed for me to spend time with them right now, and this is no offense to anyone. and I'm super open to make new connections as well, and there's space in all my layers of this Excel sheet.
There's more
But
rows in this.
So how it works basically is I have a first layer which is divided into 3 categories: family, friends, partner.
What do you mean layer? First
Layers of support. So this is my
Layers of
closest layer of support.
Okay.
The very first layer, it's me. Okay? I'm at the center of this system.
So you are.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this one. I almost forgot it.
Goes back to what I said previously.
Yes, but it's also putting myself first, because I think if I don't put myself first, I cannot do anything for anybody. If I'm not happy with myself, I cannot be a good friend, a good father, a good partner, a good person in my family.
True.
I need to take care of my own needs and like wants and all of that.
Yeah.
Be my own support system. And then I have the next layer around, and that one is split into 3 categories: family, friends, partner. Partner one is vacant at the moment.
You can apply for the vacancy.
Well, then I have family. That's my closest family, parents and brothers. That's not really movable. And then we have friends. And here I also have like 5 or 6 people in there. And next to all of these people, I also wrote down what I actually get from them and what they give. What is their, like, in German we say Mehrwert. But and it doesn't sound sexy at all. It's like, what's their unique selling point? Like their value to you, you know?
Okay.
Like something specific that this person gives me. So that's my first layer, and those are the people I want to rely on most: myself, my family, my friends, my partner. And then the next layer is still close friends, but not like best friends, but really close friends still. And I still also rely on a lot of stuff for those people, and I also write down what they're for. So this first level is one person, me. Next level is, let's say, like 12 maybe, 15 people. I don't know, something like that. No, I'm lying. It's like 12 people, yeah. Then the next level, it gets bigger, right? And then the next level of close friends, it's maybe still like around, I don't know, 15, 20 people. And then it becomes like acquaintances, like people I would like to be more friends with, people I think it's okay. And then I write down next to some of them like what they actually give to me. Some of them may be more like business contacts, supportive in a practical way here. Some of them more emotional. Some of them for more networking reasons. And
what do you use this for? Yeah. What do you do with this sheet?
I don't look at this sheet every day, but it helped me to define a little bit. So I know that, for example, the people in my closest circle, the one after me, that's people I want to see at least for 2 to 4 times a year, if they don't live in the same country. Like you, I see you 3, 4, 5 times a month?
Too many times.
I see you super often. If all that circle would live in my neighborhood, I would see them all this often. But only 2 or 3 of them live in Amsterdam.
What if people from the second layer live in your neighborhood? Can they move to the first layer?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And this is something like, this is just spending time one-on-one together.
Yeah, that's
going through experiences together.
Mm-hmm.
And then this can shift for sure. And people can move back, and people can move forward, and people can move back and forward again.
So again, what is your goal of this sheet?
This sheet was just helping me become aware of how much time I spent with which people. Because I felt like I was spending more time with people who are not even in that list than with the people I actually wanted to spend time with.
Okay, so it helps you realize who is actually your support system, who can you really rely on, and I get
and
it.
For what kind of reasons, you
can,
And so, this is like, and again, like putting your friends and family and everything into a spreadsheet is not very sexy. It's not, it's not something I plan to share ever, actually. But now I feel like it can help someone to define their own support system.
I would at least use PowerPoint.
And then make a whole, like, slide for everyone. Yeah, see, but then we have too many slides, and then it gets, I need an overview here.
I make a folder of... Okay, but
sure.
Still, I think some people will have this question of how do you make this support system?
Yeah, and this is spending time with people, honestly. I think right now, if you don't know who is your support system, write down all the names that play a role in your life right
Okay,
now.
let's talk about this. What do you do?
Okay. So I write down all the names of the people that play a role in my life right now, and then I make. I started with 3 clusters, so 1, 2, 3, and at the end I decided, oh shit, me as well. I'm also part of my support system. So I'm the first one.
You're the center of each cluster.
Yeah, and everyone is their own center. So for you, you're your center. And then the first row, it's Soroosh and my brothers, for example, and my parents.
Okay.
And some other besties, and the future partner could also be in there.
Yeah.
So now I knew all these people already. So I just decided this is my close circle.
Yeah.
If I know over time, if I realize we see each other less often, we don't have the same conversations that we used to have. You're developing yourself in a certain direction. I'm developing myself in another direction. And maybe our contact is getting more loose. Maybe you'll move to the third one. And that's also fine. That's the thing. Like people, no one needs to get offended or something. You know, this is not ranking people. This is just being aware of my relationships. And then we have, I don't know, let's call him Chris in layer 2. And I'm making up names. I don't want to use real names. Chris and
John Doe.
John. John is in the 3rd layer. And then Mike is not even on the list. Okay.
Jennifer.
And Jennifer is also not on the list.
Matilda.
And Matilda is also not on the list. Stop. Okay. Cool. So now we have Soroosh, my brothers, my parents, and my partner in my first layer outside of me. Then we have Chris, then we have John, and then we have Mike, Jennifer, and Matilda, who are all not in anywhere. So Chris, I already knew from before. We're really close friends. We have calls once in a while, and I decided that 2nd layer, I want to at least have a phone call with them every 3 months, okay? Because he also lives in another country, and that's fair. And it's always really nice with Chris.
This is interesting. I wouldn't do that.
I also don't do that like this mathematically. But it's like, it's to give yourself some structure, you know?
No, but
because otherwise I will forget about Chris because we don't live in the same country.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do. Like, if now you move to another
all of a sudden I don't exist. But I felt this with you as well. Like when I go to Germany for a month and then come back, it's like, we're like the distance between us was much bigger than other friend in Amsterdam and me because they didn't even realize I was gone. But for you, it's a big deal that I'm out of the country, you know?
For me, it is. I don't know what is it about, but like I don't. When you leave, I'm like, why? Why should I keep it?
I mean,
If
because
you're
I
not
will
coming
come
back.
But I might come back. That's the thing. You never know if people and when they come back. Who knows? Maybe a friend that you haven't been in touch with from Iran, maybe in 10 years he moves to the US and you also move to the US and all of a sudden you live in the same street.
But then the question becomes, who do you want to keep in contact with?
Like, that's another question. I mean, like location doesn't even play that big of a role, but I'm like this overview helps me to keep track of the people in my life and make sure that the important ones that I want to keep, I can keep. But yeah, so then we also have John, who's in the 3rd layer. He also lives somewhere else because I just moved here. And we were not really that close. He was like in the outer layer, and these are people that I would text for their birthdays, let's say. And
grab a drink.
If I would live in the same city, we'd probably grab like a drink or meet up sometimes. But since I'm not, like, I'm okay, you know? Okay. But if I go back to the city, I might like reach out to him. He's still part of that network for me.
It's interesting.
But with time, he could also move more to the outside, or maybe he moves to the same city, or I move to the same city and we become closer again, you know? And then there's Mike, Jennifer, and Matilda, who I will just say, these are people that since I've just moved here, I met these people. Like in my first week in let's say I just moved to Amsterdam. In my first week in Amsterdam, I just met Mike at work. I met Jennifer at she's here around my place. She has a cafe and she serves there. And then Matilda I met at a comedy show, and I had nice conversations. We exchanged contacts, and this is how it starts.
These are good tips, by the way. Dennis is better than me in networking. For me, I'm sure. For me, I'm more of a 0-1 person. Like, I want to bring the people I care about to the first cluster. I really don't care much if my other clusters are empty. But I want a big first cluster. Maybe it's different, with people also different.
And it's hard to be super close with everybody.
Yeah.
And if you have someone where you can
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's a sunny weekend and all the first cluster want to go out. And then I have to say no to this and that. It becomes difficult. But I believe yours is a better way. Even if somebody moves to a different country, you still try to keep in contact.
And honestly, you don't need to force anything. As said before, I don't follow this super strictly. It was a way for me at a time of confusion to identify my squad, my support system.
Yeah.
And now I'm loosely going by this. I might revisit it once a year just to get back on, okay, these are my people.
Where my friends rank in a year.
Yeah, no, and I may realize, oh man, like this year I spent a lot of time with Soroosh. I think he moves, like I want him closer.
Yeah, but this is fair.
And maybe I'm like, yeah, we've lost touch a little bit. Maybe I should meet up with this other person sometime. And then, or maybe they move away a little bit. That's also fine.
Because I had friends from the first cluster or layer, whatever you want to call it, that I felt like to some extent we grew apart. Like we were very close and we had deep conversation, and all of a sudden she had a boyfriend and she started hanging out more with the boyfriend's friend, and I felt like I didn't want to activities that she wanted to do anymore. And then I haven't seen her in 2 months, even though we were very close.
Yeah.
And I'm sad, honestly. I'm a little bit sad. But I guess this is life. And you got to put, even if when you move to a new country, I can imagine for you, this can be difficult, especially if you prefer in-person connections. But I think you have to put yourself out there. It's just how it is. You have to put yourself out there, just have a chit-chat with people, hang out a few times, see if they share the values that you share, and you start from the the furthest layer from your core. Yeah. Just hang out with people.
It's really time that you spend with people and how deep you allow yourself and the other person to go.
Yeah, you have to put yourself out there. Yeah. Be probably vulnerable also.
Yeah. Vulnerability, really good point. Like I was recently talking with a friend who went on dates, and she complained to me that every date is the same and she cannot reach a level of depth. Like she cannot go deep with the other people. Yeah. And then I asked her what kind of stuff they talk about. They talk about work, they talk about how is your day, like really simple small talk kind of questions. I was like, yeah, but if you always go in with these type of questions and topics, why are you expecting a different outcome? I think in order to achieve connection, you need to show some sort of vulnerability, at least like maybe not on first date, but second, third date. Yeah. Share something personal that people can connect with, and then you can take it, you can evolve it.
Yeah, because I also don't like this kind of conversation, the chit chat. I never ask, what do you do? Because I really don't care what do you do.
Yeah, also people don't like that anymore, I think.
Don't like what?
Like, what do you do for work? Like, this is
but
the shittiest question, no? I mean, I hate myself when I ask it.
But still, I find that is much more socially acceptable rather than I go on a first date and I ask somebody, what is your biggest fear? Like, people are like, whoa, what? How do you ask this question on a first date?
But you can ask this question in different ways, no?
How?
You could... you could not like ask them what's your biggest fear, but you could go like, oh, I have this ick, I'm really scared of cats, and then you can tell the story why you are scared of cats, and it can like be a super deep story. When you were 4 years old, you were attacked by a squad of cats or something, Yeah. And then
I get this feedback that I'm not good with rephrasing, and it's funny that I get this feedback.
And you're doing recently. A podcast?
At rephrasing. I think for podcast is actually good because I'm a to-the-point person. Uh-huh. If I'm here talking to you, just tell me about your biggest fear. Mm-hmm. I will tell you about mine. But say, sometimes I'm afraid of this and that. And just, it's just, I don't know. I don't like to put words behind layers of things so they don't shout at your face. And some people find this confrontational. That if I meet you for the first time, it's like, what are you afraid of? What makes you happy? But for me, this purely, this way of communication for me comes because my time with you is limited. I don't want to beat around the bushes.
But you need to sometimes, huh?
You need to sometimes.
If you want to jump into a warm bed, someone needs to warm up the bed.
I make my own bed.
Okay. So shitty, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I think the thing is time and then vulnerability.
Yeah.
And these type of conversations where you show vulnerability, where you spend time together, and where you maybe not always super to the point. I think those are also moments where you can really connect with people. Yeah.
And it's we also have this in machine learning and AI. That's how a machine learns. The first phase is called exploration. That's you have a loss function and everything. I don't want to get into it, but imagine a point, a curve that is just a line. Imagine a line and a point like a pendulum is going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down with a very high frequency. Right? This is the point. Go up the line from the baseline. It goes up, then goes below the line. Goes above the line, goes below the line.
Like a heart rate monitor.
Yeah, with a very high frequency. This is called the exploration phase because this model, this machine learning and AI is trying to find out its best fit, but it knows the most. So you have a period of exploration, then it finds a local minima, it's called, when it knows that it knows some stuff. Because now I know that I can trust Dennis a little bit. Then it exploits that point. It doesn't explore that much. It doesn't go up and down with the same frequency that it used to. It lowers the frequency to spend more time with Dennis to see if Dennis is actually the global minimum. And all of a sudden, it hits another exploration phase.
But I don't know what a global minimum is, but not important to know.
The goal is to find a loss function, to minimize the loss.
Okay.
And then you have local minimum, and then you have the global minimum. The goal of the model is to minimize the loss to find the global minimum loss. Right?
So the maximum win.
The maximum win.
Yeah.
And I find a place that I win some stuff. So I spend more time in that place.
Yeah, you ask why.
Deeper. You walk, your dot goes up and down less. Try to explore what's going on in that neighborhood. Maybe that is where I actually win the max.
Spend some more time with that person.
Yes. Yeah. So that is, you would say, a safe space for the model. And then all of a sudden I say, oh, well, maybe there's better stuff out there.
Oh, God.
So it increases the exploration, goes up and down more to see if there's somewhere that it can get more win. And then maybe there is, maybe there's not. If there's not, it comes back to the previous one. If there is, it changes where it was exploiting. So this is a lot like human stuff. Sometimes
honestly, like I would find it difficult to apply this to partner search, maybe like this, because I don't think it would work in that way. But I think if you're talking about support system or friends, I think with the partners also can be similar. You date people to find what are your standards. Otherwise, you cannot. But you can also
maximize your
overdate, and
that is also true. That can happen,
and then you cannot go back.
That can happen. It's also a phenomenon in machine learning.
Honestly, maybe I now realize, okay, in the past that experience was actually so good, but I cannot get that time back.
Yeah, but
so if a lot of time has passed and we're different people now, I cannot get that back.
No,
it's gone.
And that's the beauty of it. Also in machine learning, if you explore too much, you're never gonna find a place that you win. So, and then the main question is to find a balance between exploration and exploitation. So this is, have your rounds, watch your go out with people, have your dates, find your friends.
Yeah.
But when you also see someone that you're interested in, they share your core values, exploit a little bit. Exploit. Be with them.
Oh, be with them. Yes. Exploit to explore.
Exploring is, I go once out with you, I go out with Chris, I go out with Matilda, I go out with John briefly. But over a week, I go out
and exploiting is going
with
to
Dennis.
see the other person more often.
Yes.
So, for example, when you broke off your last relationship,
Yeah.
we got in touch again.
Yes.
That's exploration.
Yes, because it was after a very long time.
Yeah. And then you meet me once.
Yeah, and
Still
I'm like,
exploring. Wait. And then we go on, and then you're like, oh. And then we go on that festival together. And then you're like, oh.
I'm like, oh, maybe this is my minimum loss, or maybe this is my global win. This is where I win the most. And then if it is, I stay in that place.
Okay. And now we're here.
Yes, and now we're here recording a podcast for you.
Yeah. Wow. So
it's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah,
I know. Sometimes
yeah.
it is. And these are the stuff that got me really into AI and machine learning. Well, I'm an AI engineer, if you didn't know. But sometimes I see this way that this machine is learning, and then compared to psychology and how we do it, and I'm like, wow, this is very similar. Some of the stuff.
So now you got your now you can actually explain your solution to building a really nice support system with AI. That's
Actually,
cool.
we can. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
Okay,
yeah. So I think that's been it.
Yes, I think so. I think this was a good ending with the touch of AI.
Yeah,
as
for
you would
sure.
say nowadays on everything.
If you have any questions or ideas on topics related to this one that you would like us to talk about in the future, feel free to leave a comment under this episode on Spotify. Message us on Instagram. We do read all the messages there. And that's it. We are actually, when you're getting this episode, we are going to be in Portugal surfing, and we're going to be on a week without social media.
A few days.
At least a few days.
Yeah.
Or maybe the week of no social media is already passed at this point. I'm not sure. So
and I think this is it. Thank you for tuning in again with hearts wide open. And I hope you have a very good day, night, or weekend, wherever you are. See you later.
On the next one.
Bye.